It's midnight, and you're listening to WOLR, Outlet Radio.
Who are you, and where do you get your paycheck from? Because I want one. God damn it.
Yeah. So you guys don't know this, but we intentionally waited for 10 minutes outside the booth just to see if it was going to wait for us to sit down before it said anything again, and it did.
Oh, an update. Big tittied naked bitches from the sky equals blow up doll.
Yeah, there was a blow-up doll, and yeah.
Fully blown up?
Yep.
It wasn't even in a package, so I'm afraid to touch it because it might have been used.
Yeah. So that was weird.
Did you guys kill my pet raccoon? I can't find him anywhere.
I just saw him outside the other day.
Where'd he go? Where does he go? He comes in and bitches and he just poops.
That's so fucking weird.
That's so fucking...
What order do you think it happened in?
Weird?
What?
When you walked off, said, I'm going to go to the church, I saw you leave for about a block and then gone.
I walked all the way down to the church.
I thought you teleported.
No, I walked like normal. It took a little longer to get... I think it was a little farther away than I remember, I guess. I don't know.
I can see the church from right here. See the window? See the little steeple right there? Open the door and there's all the people.
I swear it took like an hour to walk there this morning. I did go there, and this time there was no one inside. And it looked different inside. The windows were cracked. They weren't cracked before. I mean, the doors looked the same, still boarded up, but it looked like no one had been there in a while. Like the pews were broken. The organ, I can't imagine it would even work. Did not look the same. So I'm not sure what to make of that. But I guess we should probably play a song. This is Insomniac Cartoon Theater, also by Freak again. Enjoy.
What you do and what you still be so afraid. of 2020. The secret ingredient is love. Damn it. Munching on some lasagna with Garfield, who lives in a pineapple underneath the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Tsunami Midnight Run. Redneck Jesse Gilson Burgers and Southern Crunch. Liquid television only. South Park. I hate you, Kenny. I hate you, Kenny. Hong Kong Phooey. Larry Birdman and turning law movies.
Yeah, that's good.
Cartoon Network, we love you.
Okay, I dig these guys. That was a pretty good one. The last one was about horror. This one seemed to be about old school cartoons versus newish.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you let a kid come in here earlier, like last night?
No.
Midnight?
No.
I thought you were, like, broadcasting or something and had a little kid, because I kept hearing all through the fucking hallways. Does the janitor have a kid?
Not that I know of, not unless his raccoon makes kid sounds. I didn't hear or see anyone, man.
Fuck that raccoon. Still don't trust it. I think that raccoon's the leader of all of this, man. He's a mastermind.
It's like a rocket kind of situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
But yeah, so you didn't hear any kids last night?
No. Nothing. I was on the other side of the building, though. I found a really cool place to set up my laptop and write everything. That's what I did all night.
False alarm. It was a different raccoon. Hey, you might want to watch out for that kid, though. He's been playing with mine, and mine does not like him.
So there's 2 raccoons and a kid?
And a janitor.
And a partridge in a pear tree?
I've never seen a fucking kid.
Things just feel like they're happening out of order, man. It's the weirdest feeling I've ever had. Anyway, we have a caller. His name is Mark. Mark, take it away.
Okay, so I want to start off by saying, if you've never seen or been inside of an actual forest when it's on fire, it's a lot more terrifying than it sounds. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, like, certain things aren't not that bad, or it's not as bad as it seems or sounds. Forest fires are terrifying. We decided to do this little impromptu vacation to this spot in Kentucky we'd never been to before, and we just wanted to get away for just a couple nights and go to a cabin, because cabins in the woods are my thing. I love them. And we found this what we thought was this really awesome one. So we decided to leave and get there like hours early before we could check in and just drive back roads and like see cool and weird random stuff. And as all my vacations go, I chose a spot in Kentucky that was also known for Bigfoot sightings and like other cryptid stuff, because if I'm going to go on a vacation somewhere for a while, it's got to have some cryptids and paranormal for me to amuse myself with. So our first stop was the Daniel Boone National Forest. What we did not know is that their dry season had gotten really bad, and there was a fire ban. Like, it was a big deal. We didn't listen to any news or even look at anything. We just drove straight down, and the sun is just coming up. It is gorgeous. You're in the middle of Daniel Boone National Park. You've just gone through the tunnel, and you're just looking around. And the way the road is, it is barely even a 2-lane road. Like, 2 cars cannot even really go side by side in opposite directions. Like, you're just kind of going away and if someone else is coming the other way, you have to pull these little weird side things that your car will barely fit on. So you're always feeling like you're just going to crash to your death every 5 seconds. That's kind of terrifying. But as the sun's coming up, like the forest is coming to life, all the colors, like that early morning was gorgeous. We get a little bit farther and we see some fog. That's normal. The fog started getting thicker. And I'm like, man, this fog it's getting really thick. And my wife she's driving and her face just like, she's terrified. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, just fog. She's like, honey, roll down the window. I rolled it down and you can smell it. It's not fog, it's smoke. And it is now so thick, there is nowhere to stop the car. And like, you can't turn your car around. And we had an SUV. There was just no way we were turning the car around. So our only way was to just keep going. We figured, okay, it's going to die down soon. If something really bad were happening, we'd have probably heard about it, not realizing that we were not even listening to actual radio on the way down. So there's no way we would have heard about it. And then the white smoke starts slowly turning black. So now we can barely see anything. There's enough of the windshield still kind of clear that you can tell, like, and it's just a straight shot at this point in time, so there's no, like, big surprise turns or, anything like that. So she just drops down like 5 miles an hour and starts going. I have nerve damage and I can't feel much, but I started feeling warmth out of nowhere. And I'm like, why can I feel how warm it is? She's like, shit, look to your right. I look to my right, and flames are licking the side of our vehicle. And I didn't even notice it at the moment because the smoke was so thick. So now we are driving through actual fire at this point in time. We finally get out, and like we're only driving through the actual fire part, maybe 60 to 90 seconds, if that. Like it feels like a long time, but it was fairly quick. We make it out of that, back into thick black smoke, but then back to the white smoke, and then I'd say about 22 minutes after the white smoke first started, we finally make it out. Immediately, she slams the gas pedal. We go as fast as we can to get off this section of the road. We get out, go to the other side, and there's barricades. They're not letting anyone go in either side because of this fire. But that barricade didn't go on at the other end until they said probably a couple minutes after we had already gone through, and there was no time to stop us. So we get out, we park, we're freaking out. They let us through the barricade. Then we parked, and we get out, and the car it was a silver car, and now there's like char marks. The whole outside of the car is just soot, entirely covered in soot. So we had to go and clean the car. And then we're pretty shaken up about this. Like we're pretty freaked out. We actually to this day have a bunch of the soot from the car in a little bottle that we just have to have in the car. It's like a pill bottle or something like that. We just stuffed it full of the soot to always remember the forest fire by I guess was the idea at the time. And we get a check into our cabin. Now this cabin is not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a pretty remote cabin out in the woods, and that's what was in the description. And I thought it was oddly cheap for like $60 a night. That's really cheap for as nice as this cabin was supposed to be. It's supposed to have an in-room hot tub, like a kitchen, all this stuff. I'm like, why is it cheap? Well, we get there, and this cabin is like very murdery, and it's not even secluded. There is this tiny little pond that's got algae all in it, and one of those paddle boats you can paddle around in that you don't want to get into because it looks like you're just going to die and sink to the bottom if you try and touch it. And there is like 4 or 5 cabins crowded around this tiny little pond, and then like RV and tent camping everywhere around you. And you're like, okay, well, this is weird. Fuck it, we already paid. We're here. So we go into this cabin, and the first cabin has no kitchen. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. Let's go to the other one. We go to the other one. That one has no, like the jacuzzi tub or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? So then they take us to a third cabin that's got a little bit of a kitchen, but it's got the jacuzzi. But you get that vibe that something really bad has happened because they're going in. There was a little bit of police tape on the door. The whole room has a very overly clean smell. Like someone probably just died and the cleanup crew came in and disinfected everything kind of smell. And this whole time, there's no one in any of the other cabins. There's not that many people even in the camping parks because of the fire warning and how bad the weather was, I guess, apparently. So we just said, fuck, and we stayed there. Every night, exactly at 11:24 p.m. until 1:07 a.m., you would hear footsteps all around the cabin. You would actually hear the front door of the cabin, even if it was locked. It would unlock, open, close, and you'd hear the footsteps walk all the way around the cabin and stop at the bed. And it was my wife's side of the bed. And after the first night, again, we're paranormal enthusiasts, like weird stuff, like we're all cool with it. It's freaky, obviously, I'm not going to say it's not because it totally is, but we were not expecting this level of something strange to be happening. And sure enough, every night, all 3 nights that we were there, the door would open, close, and then all the way to that side of the bed every night. And the whole time we're there, it feels like not just someone is watching you, like you almost expect to look up and see one of those moments in a movie where there's like reporters everywhere, like trying to peek in your window, like that vibe of like many pairs of eyes crowding to just stare at you the whole time. And that feeling wasn't even just in the cabin. That was on the whole property. As soon as you drove onto this property, you just feel like there are like hundreds of people around just staring at you, but there's no one. So it was really super unsettling. And I'm telling you all these things to build up to Midnight Mountain. It's not called Midnight Mountain. There's the big rock bridge over there. The huge natural rock bridge. A lot of people are there go to like mountain climbing, mountain jumping, where they actually jump off the top of the mountain with the base jump parachute and all that. Caving, all kinds of really cool stuff over here. Well, we decided that we wanted to take the very last, whatchamacallit, you get this little box. It looks like a ski lift, basically, is what it looks like. As you get in it, and it takes you to the top of the mountain, and the little cart on the wire above you that's like really weird, and you're pretty sure it's going to break at any minute because it sounds creaky, and you're pretty sure you saw a body down there, but you don't want to admit it to yourself kind of situations. So we go up to the top. It's the last ride up. I didn't know it was the last ride up until we were already on it, because you're supposed to be able to like also ride it back down. And with my health at the time, it was pretty bad too. I was not going to be able to walk down that mountain. But again, we didn't know until we were already in the cart going to the top. So we get up there, and it's beautiful. It's nice. Everything's really cool. But we realized that we're going to have to hike all the way down. Luckily, my wife was smart enough to get a map, just in case, because we collect maps when we're on trips. It's kind of one of the things that we do. So we have this map of all these trails. Cool, we at least have maps. There's signs, like, if you're an expert, go take this trail. If you're a beginner, take this trail. The map was wrong. And apparently there was also crime scene tape and other places coming down off the mountain. This whole sections were completely sealed off, and you couldn't go to them. And according to the map, no problem, that's where the expert path was. Well, something happened with the printing of the maps, and everything was mislabeled. And then they had to change even more paths because of shutdowns. So we ended up on the expert level hiking mountain climbing path with no knowledge of this, where there are these big gaps that you have to like wrap your arms into the rock and grip the rock and like step over, or you're going to fall to your death kind of situations. I had done a lot of adventurous stuff like that when I was young, but never anything quite to this terrifying level. One thing that we always brought with us anywhere if we go night hiking or anything are filming lights. And I've got lights for, obviously for filming outdoors, no sound, because I don't want any sound, rush overs on any mics or anything. But we just use them for hiking because they had barn doors. You could literally like pinpoint where you wanted the light to be. And I built handheld tripods that on the back, I could tape one of those little, it's a battery charger, but for phones that you can, the power banks. I had Velcroed a power bank onto the back of all these tripods and have this guy custom make a cord that would go from that to charge the lights or the cameras. So we thought we were cool. We had these bright ass lights. We did not realize how dark it was going to get on the mountain. Everybody should have been well off the mountain. And we're looking around because no one is legally allowed to be there as it starts getting dark because of how dangerous it is. We're like, oh, we got these lights, no big deal. Because again, we thought we were going to be on the beginner's path coming down. And we turned them on, and again, bright as fuck. But the brightness, these things out at home, like in a field, you could see these lights and light up probably at least, I'd say easy 100 feet in front of you. No problem. We're talking maximum of like 5 to 7 feet in front of you because of how thick the woods are and how dark it gets on the mountain. So we are now in the dark on the expert trail. There was legit a moment where I look at my wife and I said, you're going to have to leave me here. Medically, I could not go any farther. And we had just gotten over that big spot where I told you I had to like wrap my hands kind of around this giant section of this mountain and dig my fingers in to be able to climb over. And I almost fell and died in that moment. I barely made it around it. And I was like, leave me. Go down and get help. From here on out, there's nothing crazy. It doesn't look like there's anything crazy. Just go and then get help and bring them back here. The other problem is that there's a lot of dangerous wildlife that wants to eat you in Kentucky. And you could hear them. You could hear the howls of a pack. I'm not sure wolves, coyotes, not sure which it was, but we were being tracked just after that gap. Hardcore tracking, you hear it all around you and just getting closer and closer all the time. So we know we're now likely being hunted. That's another reason why you don't want to be out there, at this time of night. And I know at this point in time, if I just say go on, I make a lot of noise, I'm gonna die, but she'll get out. That's what you do. Well, that's what I think to do. Sacrifice myself for other people. She's like, no, you can't. She's like, I hear them too. I know what you're trying to do. We're either both going to die here or we're both going to make it out together. I'm like, okay. We start moving. And then one of the loudest sounds I have ever heard in my life came directly to my left, and a small tree fell over right afterwards. Footsteps. And I'm talking, the rock beneath our feet is shaking from these fucking footsteps. The closer it gets, the sounds of the howling start to back off a little bit, so we start walking. Whatever this giant thing is in the woods, it's following on one side of the woods, and the pack of animals is on the other side of the woods, and we're just like walking through this section on this mountain with that on both sides of us. We do that for another good 35, 40 minutes. And during that time, we saw snouts come out on the side. Again, coyote, wolf, it was still hard enough to tell even with our lights exactly what it was. They'd start to come off. And as soon as you start to see them darting in from the right side, just this huge loud sound. And again, those rock shaking footsteps would get louder. And then I think 20 minutes and you'd hear this like, this deep, just guttural growl, which you could also feel just as much like in the air around you. It was like the whole world was shaking, but just not the ground beneath, just everything. Just the concussive sound of this thing. And then you'd see the muzzles would start to come out of the woods and they'd dart right back in. They'd get farther away, they'd get brave, and the pack would come back. And this just kept happening. We are now, I think maybe, as this is going on, this whole like 45 minutes, we can see the exit now. We see these giant steps, like all nicely built, like we're in a safe area, but we know that going down there, you leave where any kind of light or anything at all is just done. It's even darker where we have to go to circle around to get out. On the path to get out, at the end of it, there's a light, an actual light that's bright as you can see anything. So we're like, we got to make it to this light. So we stop, we look at each other. All the sound around us stop. If you've ever heard that you need to get the fuck out of the woods, if suddenly every noise stops, do that. No matter what you got to do to go through, get the fuck out of those woods, because bad things are about to happen to you that cannot be stopped. As soon as that silence fell, we looked at each other. We didn't have to talk about it. We knew. We've both been in the woods plenty of times. We took off. And I'm injured. I'm bleeding in a couple places from my hands and like my knees, a couple different places. And I am pushing myself on. I'm making sure she's in front of me. She is trying to get behind me because she's afraid that I'm going to, again, ditch and just get her to safety. And I'm like, just run. I'm behind you. So she starts running. I start running behind her. 5, at this point in time, again, you can't tell if they're coyotes or wolves because now you're in dark. And even our lights are useless out here. We can barely see each other and we're next to each other. Well, she's in front of me. I couldn't even see her back with the light. So we just turned the lights off and ran. Like I said, 5 of them come out of the woods at it. And this giant thing, almost twice as tall as I am, and still to this day don't know exactly for sure what it was, came out of the woods from the left, cut between, like pushed me back to get between me and my wife, went past us, grabbed 3 of them and went into the woods, and the rest of them followed after it. And the sounds of just the feeling of the ground still shaking as we're making it almost to this light, hearing the cries of these coyotes or wolves, these grunts, these slamming, like skull bone smashing sounds, weird, just intense, terrifying shit. We finally get to the light and we stop under the light because they're not going to come under this light. We want to know what's going on, so we look back, and again, small trees are still falling all around whatever's happening. And the last thing that we saw was 6 other wolves or coyotes went a different direction out to where that big thing had originally come from. And this thing, you just see this giant shadow. It's on 2 legs, has some kind of, humanoid, definitely, just kind of turns its head over. And you can't see its face because of the shadows. And it just, this little nod. And then it turns back to the woods, the direction the wolves or coyotes ran, and just slowly, no running, just trots into the woods. And then suddenly all the normal nighttime wildlife sounds, you can hear them all again. you could hear the crickets again. Like, you could hear everything like it was normal, like nothing had just happened. And we looked at each other. And we just very slowly, to not alert anything, turned our lights off the rest of the way, walked down these stairs, and then we ended up on the wrong side of the parking lot because we came out and then had to walk a mile out on the actual, like, normal roads and stuff back to our car. Just shaking and fucking terrified. Because, again, the forest fire, this cabin, this fucking goddamn mountain. And then we make it back to the cabin, finally. We sit down, and there's a face in the window, and it is exactly 1:02 a.m. 5 more minutes before the sounds usually stop. And I thought it was a person. It looked real. There was no seeing through it. I mean, there was a face just pressed. Kind of how a kid makes funny faces at their friends. They just press their face against the glass. It was like that, except for there was not a funny face. You could see scars up and down the face, what looked like fresh blood, and the face was kind of smushed in around the bottoms of the eye sockets, so you could actually see the bottoms across here of the eyeballs. And then it just moved back and just backed off, and it was gone. And we both saw it. We both ran right out of the cabin, ran around the cabin to find out where it was, and then the door just shut and locked itself. And we were outside of the cabin. So we were able to get a window open to crawl back into the cabin to unlock it so we could both now be inside. And we basically, after the experience of the mountain and then the face, we didn't sleep all night. We got up. We left 4 hours before checkout, and we just left. We never take much with us on these little tiny trips, and we just packed the car and we left and drove all the way back home.
And we're back. That's an interesting situation, Mark. Why does everyone hang up as soon as they're done? Like, they don't even give us a chance to ask them questions. They just say their shit and they go.
Maybe they're not hanging up.
I think the next time I'm going to try and, like, interrupt them and talk and see if it works.
Well, no, I'm not saying, like, they're robots or anything. Maybe the announcer who's getting the paychecks that we should be getting is hanging up on him because he's an asshole and he gets paid and we don't.
Maybe. But I still want to fuck around with it and see.
Okay. What else are we going to do?
Exactly. There was a flyer on our front steps today.
Really?
Yeah, apparently they're opening up a movie theater in that strip mall down the other direction.
You mean the same place where the hunt that's going to kill everybody?
Yeah.
So
I guess there's 2 businesses there now. I think it's a cheap theater though, like it's like a second run type thing.
Still, dark room, lots of noise where you can't really hear things coming up on you, right next to something where people are dying.
I mean, not that many people died. Well, maybe some other people, it seems like, but...
We'll see. Maybe if they have good enough movies. But if they play shit, I'm not dying for a bad movie.
Yeah. Alright, there's blinking buttons. This one says Mary, is what the button says. Is it going to go to a person? Let's see.
Is it Mary Kill Fuck?
That was the son from Mario Brothers. And the board says Mary.
Maybe Mario?
Okay. Weird.
No weirder than usual. Crackheads and call him Mario when it's Mario.
Yeah,
I said it.
Guess so. There's like another 20 or more buttons on this damn board. We'll figure them out eventually.
By the way, I know you don't do this because you don't like going out during the day anyway.
Yeah, fuck the daytime.
Don't go out during noon.
What happens at noon?
The sun goes away. And I don't want to know what happens after that.
Like eclipse style, or just not there?
Like, not there. And it comes back at like 1.
So just like for an hour?
Hour.
Like I have so many questions.
I'm done asking questions because I don't get any answers. Like, the announcer still doesn't tell me where the fuck he's getting his paychecks from because I want one.
Alright, I want to try the closet thing again.
What closet thing?
Or we say things and like shit appears in the closet. I want answers. I'd like some answers, please. Just leave them by the cigarettes and weed and the blow-up doll, I guess. Some answers would be nice. Anything. Where the fuck are we? What is happening?
I would say paycheck, but what the fuck are we going to spend it on? There's nothing here to buy. Buy more buildings.
Like the church. Do you hear that?